Hello, everyone. This is Diane. I am very pleased to be able to share these two completed journals with you. I actually have three. I'll share this one last. This is the one I'm keeping. And these two will be in my shop when you see the video. So let's just get started. They have a house and home theme along with the cute little images of the story. This is Come Play House, and it is an Eloise Wilkin illustrated book, little golden book. Very sweet. And it's children playing house. You can see here this little girl is pretending to be the mommy, taking her child for a walk. She's got her purse and her high heel shoes and her big fancy hat. This word up here, part of the paper, was pulled off. Someone had put a sticker on it and the sticker had been removed. And so there was just a white space there. So I just put this fabric washi there, but you can see that the title is Come Play House. The corners are soft. I didn't add any metal corners to them. I liked the vintage look. You can see that the book does look vintage. There are little wrinkles in the paper cover, and it's just worn looking. I used some upholstery gimp, vintage upholstery gimp, to line the edges of the spine, and you could see how old this book is from that back. That was like an original golden book. And this pretty fabric I thought went very well with the colors of this. Each of the journals has a bead dangle that contains a few other fun items. So it has a lot of beads. There's a little playing token, a game token, a little memory game card, and this would be a paintbrush to paint your house with. There's a lock, a padlock, and a keychain. There are about 44 pages per signature, and there are 3 signatures. So I used a lot of house and home images, some from vintage magazines and catalogs and books. And yeah, you'll see lots of fun elements. So this is from a vintage Ward's catalog from the 1930s. Look at that. Kerosene range. That is amazing. You can see the cans down here that would hold the gas, I suppose, the kerosene. 4-burner built-in oven model. And this is just a card. It came out of something. I backed it with some lined paper, something you can write on. I put some lace on the edge there, decorated with washi. I did use some of the flashcards called Home is Where the Heart Is from Mrs. Coggs Crafts. Some of them were quotes and some were just words. And I used the quote ones, they're bigger, to make little pockets. A house is made with walls and beams. A home is built with love and dreams. Ralph Waldo Emerson. And I tucked a little tag in there. This is copy dyed paper. And this is just an image cut from an old magazine of a little house. This is a Dick and Jane workbook page from the 1960s. And because she's got this yellow cake with chocolate icing here, I happen to have this paper clip that I had made with an advertisement from an old magazine. Yellow cake with chocolate icing. So that is the paper clip, which is holding this old photo on. There's a couple standing in front of their house, smiling. It's only hard because I'm on camera. There's a little digital, and this was from a little set called Grandma's House, and I just made it small. Shelf liner. This is vintage shelf liner. You can write on that or glue some photos to it. And this is vintage wrapping paper that is embossed. Very pretty. I added a guest check so you can write on that, and this little image of two little girls playing with their dollhouse. I did a video on this about using grid design on your pages for doing journaling. This would make maybe a easier way to journal if you're intimidated by a big blank page. You have these little segments to write in. There's some stenciling there, and here's the first page of the Come Play House book. I put one folio, one spread of 2 pages in each signature from the books. This is a vintage milk bottle cap. This book was printed in 1948. Wallpaper and this fabric with the houses and landscape. This tag has a stamped house on it. And this one has a bedspread from a Sears catalog from, I think, the 60s. And there's an old greeting card with a pretty little thatched cottage. I just love the colors of this card. And you can open it up. Yeah, you can open it up and write on it. It was glued into a scrapbook at one point. I have some pages from vintage books, and this one was, I believe this was like a home ec type of book about taking care of your home. This says facelifting for my room, so it's a teenager's bedroom. A cluster here made by my friend Carrie the Paper Monkey. I use a lot of her fabric clusters in these journals. And I got some happy mails in the process of creating these journals, one from Julie and one from Carolyn. And because I got them on the same day, I have trouble remembering who gave me what, so I'm not going to say. But this is what's in one of the happy mails. And this is a folded note. Sorry, my mind went blank. And it's got a pretty tea set and a fern behind it. And I created this little house tuck spot with scraps of paper. I have a collection of advertisements that were for home improvement that I got at the flea market last year. So I included 1 or 2 in each journal. I think this opens, maybe it doesn't, but it's got paint samples in it, which is pretty cool. Oh, yeah, it does open. I think that's a really neat one with all those paint samples. And this was in my happy mail. Pretty sure this was from Julie. She sent me a bunch of these images from a children's dictionary. And they're baking together, this little girl and her Aunt Esther. Thank you, Julie, and thank you, Carolyn, both of you, for your contributions to this journal. This one has just a leftover fabric ruffle and a little piece of it, and I added some vintage trim. Here's another image that Julie sent, and there is a current. Is it current? Maybe not. Yes, it is. A current postcard with a coffee grinder, coffee mill. There's the other side of that grandmother's house digital. On this side of the workbook page, I added a piece of mesh. This came from a vintage bed canopy and a piece of ticking that I cut into a heart shape. It's more washi. And a library pocket that I stenciled with the house and 2 trees. And this little journal card, Where Thou Art, That Is Home, Emily Dickinson. And there's a dictionary image of a little cottage. Second signature has this vintage decorator fringe on it. And I made this pocket with this vintage trim here and an image from a really old magazine from the 30s. It's a bedroom. And we made this journaling card, another image from the dictionary. There's a postcard, pretty daisies in the front, and a cottage way tucked in behind the hills. This was written on, but it wasn't mailed, so there's no postal stamp, so I don't know the year, but it's early 1900s. I had rather be on my farm than be emperor of the world. George Washington, he would have much preferred to be on his Virginia farm than to be president of the United States. But he put aside his druthers for the good of the country. I just poked that hole out. This one has a prompt, favorite flower. I stenciled hearts here because our homes are full of love, we hope. H is for house. This is from a children's book. And I put this playing card with a house on it here. And I glued lined paper on this side because it was a goose on that side. Another of Carrie's clusters. And this is from a book on, and thank you, Carrie, for your beautiful clusters. I absolutely love them. I've talked about them before. This is a page from a book of house plans. Another shelf liner with some salad and a salad fork and spoon, serving spoons. This is a vintage wrapping paper that I thought was just so adorable. Each journal got a piece of this. And then on the back side, I glued a paper to write on from a vintage diary and a dictionary definition. Here's some stationery. Here's another grid page. Little image cut from a book, and I stamped that one. This little girl is gardening. And this one is running the sweeper with her baby waiting patiently. I love this wallpaper border with the picket fence and the flowers and the ladybug. This is a tally card with a drawing of a house. And this came in my Happy Mail, one of my Happy Mails, and it was a brochure about a twin tub washer. There's another cluster. This came from a book that was illustrated by Corinne Malvern. She's another of my favorites. And this one is a tag with a Words catalog image of a curtain. I talked about these tags in a video. It's a set of dies. They have the tag shape and then different toppers. And I couldn't remember where I got it from. But I looked up my past Amazon orders, and it did come from Amazon, and it was like an unknown, a foreign, probably Chinese manufacturer. There's a little girl mailing her letter on the other side of that stationery. I can try to link it below if I remember. I'm not very good about remembering the links by the time I get the video up. This is a pocket I made out of, I've got to put something in there, out of feed sack fabric, a piece of vintage quilt, and vintage crochet. And I stamped Home Sweet Home and this little house stamp. There's a piece, a different kind of a mesh with some lace on it. A stamped house and some items tucked in there. I stapled a couple of mini doilies to that page. This is a glassine bag, and it has a doily and an image from a catalog where you could spend your S&H green stamps. Some copper pots, looks like a kettle and a fondue and something with a warmer underneath it. And these mugs. Someone recognized those mugs and told me the brand, but I don't remember, but I guess they had them. Their mother had them. And this is an image from a magazine of a beautiful living space. I made this and I showed how on a video. It's a brick wall scrapbook paper, and I just made a matchbook folder with it. And this says, "Love makes a house a home." And this is the final signature with this pretty heart paper. And because it's not the Three Bears, I put this in the wrong journal. So you get a picture of two bears in their home having pancakes with honey. Here's another one of the flyers for home improvement, and it's about insulation. And this opens up also. And there's a tag that I made. This came from a 1970s magazine, I believe. There's a vintage postcard that was unused with a cuckoo clock on it, and another little playing card. Stay at home, my heart, and rest. Home-keeping hearts are happiest. Henry Wadsworth Longfellow. This is another interior design book, and it's got a fabric ruffle and this little scrap with a little girl with a picnic basket. That's one that I made. Here's another paper clip that I made with a 1970s television set in the cabinet. This is shelf liner. And this paper clip is holding on another photo of a dog in front of the house. These children are outside tending to the yard, the trellis. And here is a lined paper that says to doodle do. And the last grid page says things I love, so you can use these little spaces to write your favorite things. Stationery. This whole signature should have been in the Three Bears book. Here's Loaded Questions game and a house tag. And this is a playing card, or not a playing card, a greeting card with this little house and a little stream. Or is it a walkway? I think it's a stream. There's bulrushes there. This is an advertisement for oilcloth fabric to make tablecloths, and it's from a catalog. And this is also, I think this is Sears catalog from the 60s, and this is a Ward's catalog from the 30s. An aligned paper. I apologize for mixing up the signatures. You could build a home and save 33 1/3%. The man who designed the famous Singer Building in New York tells how to save money. And there's a pretty rayon quilted bedspread. Here's an image of a daughter watching her dad fix a leaky faucet. Homes come with home repairs, don't they? She is peeling some vegetables or fruit, and she's setting the table here. And a lined list paper. I love the yellow of this sink. And this is a lady in her linen closet, and I sewed that little embroidered piece, vintage, and made this tag. On the back, I have a piece of a masterboard that I turned into a pocket, and I added a postcard of a lady writing at her desk, writing a letter, and a little library card, and it has my signature. For the closure, I just did a hair tie and this little knob, and it holds it, but it's kind of loose, but as you fill it up, it'll tighten it up. So when you pick it up, if you press to pick it up, it pops off. But as you fill it, it will get tighter. I do have pages from this journal to include. I have not I just barely started tidying up a little bit. So I haven't found the Three Bears pages yet, but hopefully I'll find them and the pages will come with the books. Speaking of coming with the books, each one will come with a packet. Let me show you that real quick before we get into the other journal. This one, or they both have pages from books, decorating books, and this one is a children's book, but it's a house here. And the other set has a page from the same book. Some scrapbook papers, some scraps, some scraps of the wallpaper that I used. This collection of perforated cards for the days of the week, and a lined little scrap of blue paper, and a scrap of the wallpaper or the wrapping paper. This one has a flashcard with a hose. The other one has a children's illustration that I glued to cardstock for a card. And some of the illustrations that Julie sent me, the leftovers that I didn't use, a library card, and a couple of images from an old magazine or catalog, a playing card. This little paper sack, I'm going to put these stamped pieces right in there. So we have some of the leftover house pieces that I stamped and cut out, and some of the Mrs. Coggs flashcard. I didn't cut them completely out. And playing cards. So the other bundle is similar. So now let me show you the Three Bears. On this one, we have a plastic bottle cap that was advertising, it's a political advertisement on this bottle cap. I think it might have been for soda bottles that you pop the cap off and then you want to cap the remainder. So this goes on. I guess that's what it was. But it was Keep Lazarus DA. So someone was running for district attorney. And there's a keychain and the Heart of the Home memory card piece, memory game piece, and this little game token. This one also has worn corners. It is an old book. It had some scribbling up here, but I got most of it off. There's some scribbling up there, but it doesn't look nearly like it used to. I got a lot of it off. The back, oh my goodness, I got some stamps on the back. I'm going to have to cover that with something. These stamps were laying on my desk, and I must have laid the book on it without cleaning my stamps. I have a mess here, don't I? I'm wondering if I should switch the signatures around. There's a vintage book plate, and I still have to put a little label on that because it says Dayton L. Burchard. So I don't think Dayton L. Burchard is going to purchase this book. You'll want to put your own name there. So I'll put a little label. I've done that before. This is a piece of a memo collection, memo sheet. It's got a tear in it. And a little note paper with a tulip on it. And this image is from a vintage magazine. I added some trim in these little vintage, or not vintage, little embroidered flowers. This is wrapping paper. A guest check. Yeah, this is the page that should have been in the Three Bears. Oh, this is the Three Bears book. Okay, let's pay attention here. This is the Three Bears book. So this is the right signature. There's a little boy throwing his teddy bear up in the air. I had to cut them out separately, and then I just sketched in the little motion lines to signify what was happening there. Here is a vintage milk bottle cap. This workbook has where city people live in these apartment buildings. So not everybody has a home, as are pictured in most of the other illustrations. This is a shelf liner. And we have some toilet paper from a vintage magazine as a paper clip. And there's a puppy on the steps. And this is a vintage greeting card of a lady baking. She's got this little mesh apron on. This is from a needlework book that I got in my Happy Mail. I used some of those pages as pages in the journals. I don't know if I mentioned it in the other journal. Here is one of the house tuck spots. And this is an ad for Lustra Glass, the world's biggest window glass value. And it's cut out, so you could have fun. It looks pretty cute with the sun and the house behind, but you could do what you want to put something behind that window. This is just a note paper for writing. And a vintage postcard. Naught but happy hours. Every time I see this, I think it says nougat, because I think that H looks like an A. Anyway, it's got a grandfather clock, and I thought it was really pretty. I glued this little scrapbook paper house on there. There's no place more delightful than home. Marcus Tullius Cicero. This is a vintage book page, children's book page, one of Carrie's clusters. Well, that's perfect on this page with the salad. I didn't even do that on purpose. It's got tomatoes here. I used an appointment book here and this little illustration from a children's book of the children that lived in the shoe. There's a little door in the heel. And doilies decorating the toe and the heel. That is very sweet. This is a paper clip made out of a Downy Flake Waffles ad. This must have been before Eggo. And this photo is of two young ladies standing in front of the house by the window. A vintage greeting card. Very beautiful, lustrous. This was not glued into a scrapbook. I'm glad I got this one in the right book. I love that picture. And look at that cute little bear. And these are the bears shopping for some earmuffs. Look at the bunny with his little red mittens. Again, we have that matchbook folder, and this lady is ironing. I like this set of pink hampers and wastebasket. And then we have the third signature with the curtain advertisement, it was in a catalog. And this is for Lustra Glass again. And curtains. More curtains. Every house where love abides and friendship is a guest is surely home, and home sweet home, for there the heart can rest. Henry Van Dyke. This is a stamp that says things to do. This is a greeting card, and I positioned it so you can see the birds in their cage. This one has a bear in the pocket at least. But this page belongs in the other book. But that's okay. They all have home themes. Hearty Good Wishes with the poppies and the little cottage back there. I like this fabric with the girl reading in the window. Here's a little tally card that has a little house with a pond, apple tree, animals and children, and a rainbow. Couldn't ask for anything more. Another bathroom set. This would have been in the window of that greeting card, lady playing the piano. And this is a house plan. Just a lined, look, it's scrapbook paper, but it looks like ledger. You can write on that, and there's just a lined paper in there. And here is a illustration of a little girl putting her dolly to bed. And there's a pink sink. And there's a window or a door here. So that's those two books. Then, like I said, they'll be in my shop as soon as you see this video. And this is the one I'm going to keep. I bought this kit from Selena. I didn't need the supplies in the kit. You know I have a ton of supplies. But I loved this book cover. I had never seen it before, and I just liked the idea of the wonderful house. But I didn't use pages from this book, except maybe the first one, because they're animal houses or circus tents and things that didn't really apply to my house and home theme. But I will keep these pages. My bead dangle has the moon because I go home at night to sleep. Keychain, the game piece. Has more pastel colors because of the coloration on the house. It's kind of a light bright, I guess. And this tablecloth, this old tablecloth that I used, is pastel. So the beads are pastel, more so. They do have some brightness because it has the bright yellow and the bright pink, but they're different from the other ones, which were more primary. I've got to put a piece of trim here because I can see my Tyvek peeking through. So I'm just going to flip through very quickly. This is a shortening paper clip. And this is just clipping a little vintage paper for writing. This is one of the images that Carolyn sent, or Julie sent, the little boy doing laundry. I like this image of the lady dusting with a red feather duster, dusting up to wish you a happy birthday. Got a little cottage back there. These colors look nice with that fabric. This is a house plan from an old magazine. Yeah, this is from this golden book because it's got a normal house on it. Here's a vintage, it's not really a postcard because I don't think it was mailable, but it's just a flat card that doesn't open. It's kind of grungy, but I love this image. And here is a photo of an old house Looks like a pretty big one. Look at all those windows. 12 windows plus that attic one. So 13 windows on one side of the house. There's a little gift tag with a house on it. Home is where the books are. Some of the pieces that came with the kit, there is this rickrack and another rickrack. And I have some buttons, and I forgot to put them on my string. There were 3 buttons that I wanted to use. I guess I was just trying to get it done. I had a hard time. It took me a month from the time I finished the last journals to get these done because I was doing cleaning in here and organizing and listing stuff. And so I just wanted to get these done. There's a little girl playing a big upright piano on a round stool. That's the kind of piano that I had when I was growing up. This is a Dreft laundry powder. It's got the same tally card with the little house and the pond. And this one has a rocking chair card. A table. I have to glue this pocket down. The top part of it came unglued. And this photograph is a boy and a girl standing in front of the house. Home is the best place when life begins to wobble. Isn't that true? There's the other rickrack that came with the kit. These children are drawing and painting a house with the family in front. This is a page of the digital grandmother's house before I decided to make them small. I kind of wish I didn't make them small because I didn't really have to trim off as much as I thought I would for this book. And Hammond Electric Clocks is my ad for this one. There's a little boy drying the dishes. This is from a book called, I think it was called The Big Rain, and I loved the illustrations. I made a glue book out of it a long time ago. I love the illustrations, but because it has a house here, I think it had a French origin, but it was translated to English. Jean-Marie is the girl in the book. And here's another girl on playing a piano, and the dark-haired sister is singing, and this was what my sister and I did. She didn't face the room and sing. She was facing the music and, reading the words off. But we did that all the time. And sometimes my other sister would join us. Annette is 2 years younger than me, so we were closer in age, and Barbara is 5 years younger than me. So there were times that she would join us, especially as she got older, and singing with us. Lisa was 10 years younger than me, so I don't think she really had much opportunity to sing with us when I was still at home. She was only 10 when I got married. I was 19 when I got married. But we sang together after I left the house. When we had get-togethers, we had trio books, and the girls would sing trios, and I would play the piano. Very, very good memories. We even sang in churches, like at my sister Barbara's church. I added an extra postcard, because this doesn't have anything to do with houses, but and I'm not even a big bird fan, but I love this postcard. Every time I see it, I'm like, I really want that postcard. So it's in my journal now. Just made a little tag with that. An image of some kids in one of the kids' bedrooms. An Ivory Snow paper clip. This is supposed to go on this side. And I stamped Happy New Home on this. I didn't stamp it in the other books, but because I'm in a new home, I stamped it on mine. These little girls are definitely playing dress up, playing house. They're dressed like their mommies in oversized clothes, and they've got their babies on their laps. And this is a postcard with this cute little home. And mine has a window. I put this flashcard on my pocket, arts and crafts, because that's what I like to do. But I didn't make a selection for your pockets because I gave you all the extra flashcards. You can put what you want. I just rounded the corners and inked around it and glued it down. So that's mine. I hope that you enjoyed seeing these journals, and I hope it gave you ideas for doing a house and home journal, because it's really fun to do, and you can find a lot of images to go with it as far as furnishings and housekeeping chores and gardening work and things like that. There's a lot you can find. So go to my shop. It's linked below, and I'll try to remember to link the tag die set that I found on Amazon. And I hope you enjoyed this project, and I'll see you for the next one. Have a creative day. Bye.